it off last night. This is the most complex cut that I had to do on this whole side, was to get across the top of the door, across the top of that window to this point. Now today I'm going to slap on a few more rows up to the top of my corner bead for now, and those are just straight cuts. Now the dilemma is there's a full piece here 144 inches, there's a full piece down there at 144 inches, so I can't start with a full piece. So what am I going to do? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to put about a 2-foot piece here, which will offset this by 2 foot, which will offset this by down to here somewhere. Maybe I'll do a little bit more than 2 foot over there. See if I got a piece that's already like pre-cut. I can just slap it up. Just trying to offset those joints. Oh, and here it is right here. This looks perfect to me. So we'll do this piece. I wish it had the pre-cut end on it on the other end, but that doesn't really matter. I can notch that a little bit myself anyway. And we'll work it back that way. So let's get that done. Well, this morning, just about noontime actually now, me and the levee assistant got the rest of the rows on up to the 10-foot mark, which I need help with holding up until I get my scaffold anyway. And we started on the back. And we got the first 3 rows on the back. She's looking good. So got to start working on this and get around that fancy cut like I did on the front. Remember, I made a template to do that. And it's a beautiful day. I can't work all day. I have a gig this afternoon down on Cuca Lake at the point of the bluff, which when you see this video, it will be long past. So it's a beautiful vineyard concert venue down in the Finger Lakes on the west side of Cuca Lake. So I got to go there and play a show today, and I got to keep working on this. But yeah, I got more than half the siding on this building now. The problem is I got to put my scaffolding up. I got to get my scaffolding up, which I have, and some scaffold planks, and get her done. I got to get a couple more 16-foot 2x10s. Because I don't want to cut the ones that I have. So until next time, guys, Bob's Barn Workshop. Bob's Bigger Barn Workshop. We're doubling the floor space so I can do more automotive work indoors in the comfort of the winter. I've got that bug I want to do some tear downs on, and the Mustang I can work on the wiring and interior stuff I needed to do on that over the winter. I've got a few more pieces of the original siding to match the patina, but to tell you the truth, I can't hardly see the difference between the old and the new. The old lasted very nicely. So I'm going to put the old up there. That, as I said before, it'll probably go up to about that line of where the break in the building ramp is. And then we'll put new stuff up on the way up. Looks like I need to paint my hay doors. What do you think? They haven't been painted for the 24 years that the barn has been here, so. Alright guys, God bless. Have a good afternoon. And alright guys and gals, we've been working on the west side of the barn, the back side, and we've got up around all the cuts, all the windows. We're up to 10 feet as high as I can go. I've got the rake edge, J-mold, and the little patch that I had to do in this little notch to make it look good. And so all our stepladder work is done. What's next is scaffold work. So the scaffold work I'm going to have to start I might have to make it a step, put one 8-foot one here and then drop down and put one less than 8 foot high. It's going to have to be, yeah, tie one and then layer down whatever. But anyway, we cleaned out all this brush around this little mulberry tree. And all the dead branches off the pine tree. And it's like, gee, that little place looks right there underneath that shade tree. And it was very shady this afternoon. Looks like a nice place for a little table for me and the wife to have afternoon drinks or something. This is just cozy under here. It's a beautiful little tree. It flowers with big white flowers in the spring. I think it says it's a mulberry. All right, we are done with the step ladders. And so tomorrow, maybe I'll be setting up some of the scaffolding. I think I'm going to start on the front of the building, in case I have to reuse some other siding or something. I've got a couple of more pieces of white siding up in the attic of the barn left over from doing the house. The house was done 10 years ago. I guess I decided I retired in '03. Yes. All right. Or 13, I mean. Oh, there's my lovely helper. Well, today, guys, I'm back on the barn. We have the scaffolding built, which is 2 tiers high, which is a little over 10 feet. And I've got 2 tiers, and then I've got 16 footers in between. Combination railing legs and braces for the platform. Works fine. I've been up there back and forth. It's very comfortable to work at, except I wish I'd moved it farther this way because I'm kind of leaning on my tippy toes to reach this stuff up here. I'm going to have to get the ladder to finish that. But what I'm doing right now is I've put the J mold, the F mold up first, and I had to get kind of fancy with it because the F mold wants to hang down. Oops, too much. F mold wants to hang down over this edge. You see there's going to be a J mold backing up to it where this other bottom soffit. That's the only return I'm doing. I'm bringing the soffit straight down to the corner on this raked edge. And then on the square edge, you can see the square corner it kind of makes there with the J mold. And that's just so I can get started. And then of course my aluminum fascia board is going to go right over that. So I cut a stack of 11¼ inch pieces here, and I'm going to carry them up, start sliding them in and tack nailing them. And then after you tack nail them, you put your white soffit material on, and that covers all those nails, and you're all done. All right, I'm going to put you on the stand. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see a lot, but I'm going to head up the ladder with these pieces. All right, hammer in hand. All right, so here's how this goes. I am going to just slide a couple pieces in. They latch together. And I slide in like so. And slide it to the end. Not much, boy, oh boy. They're cut pretty accurately. I guess the maintenance. Slide them up. Latch them in. Slide them into the F channel. Now normally you just do these one at a time. So what I like to do, I like to put a nail right at the corner here. Just a roofing nail. Unfortunately, you do have to face nail it. I guess I could put it right here. And it don't go all the way in, but get the head flush with the groove. And that's all there is to this. Just slide the next one in, because see, when we put our aluminum up, it's going to press this all up tight. That's it. All there is to getting your soffit up. Now, when we get enough of this up, we'll put these white aluminum on here, and you'll see how it looks all finished. My barn, I love my barn. Bob's barn. So I'm nailing it in the next rib next to the clip groove. Pretty simple stuff, guys. You don't want to stretch it. Don't tug on it. And stretch these ribs because it's already expanded because it's warm right now. When it gets cold, they'll shrink and tighten up and it could pull apart. Nothing like shrinkage. At least that's how I do it. When I get to that end, I'll just let my aluminum lap over. And that's finished soffit. I needed to get this soffit going so I can finish this corner. Alright, I'm going to be on my knees, unfortunately. Alright, are we having fun yet? Alright guys, I'll go get the aluminum, see how long it is. I've got to cut it at an angle at the bottom here. So hopefully, guys, I've cut this at the right angle. And don't let me use roof nails, I need to use my aluminum nails. Aluminum fascia. Under that just like that. And of course that lapping over like that covers everything nicely. I'm not going to nail the end because I'm going to have aluminum nails. Good. back and put some screws through this flashing. The gray flashing. And there we go. Careful not to dent your soffit material with the hammer. Okay, I'm going to go in and have lunch. Alright guys. So after lunch we'll come back and we'll finish up this whole side over here. You can see the return that I made up here. I had to cut some wooden blocks to fit in now. That weird angle that you see near the top right of the screen is there because I forgot to slide it up underneath the upper trim, so I'm just going to cut that off flush, because when I go to put the other aluminum on there, I'm going to have to cut the lip off the bottom of it and just let it lay over that and put a few nails in it, caulk the bottom edge, but it'll cover right over the top of that where I cut it off. But there you go. Let me see if I can see you. Oops. It's so bright out here I can't see the screen, so I don't know what I'm looking at. Well, there we go. Yeah, there's the finished soffit. Alright, that's how you do that. Very simple, isn't it? I measured the gap for those, and then I went in and I just cut a whole batch of those 11 1/4 inch pieces for my perforated soffit. Covers everything up, keeps the bees out. And that's why I like to fit them pretty tight so the bees can't get up into those little grooves too. Alright, we'll be back. Alrighty. I'm almost to the end of the soffit installation. I'm going to have to go up the ladder here and finish the peak sharp part. Try to speak up. Dishes are done. she's getting from me. Alright, bingo. The soffit is done up here. All the holes for birds and bugs is colored, caulked. Alright, friends and fans, I skipped a whole day of filming, sorry. I just wanted to get this done, but you can see I have the eastern face of the whole building siding up and done. And I even have the screws into the steel, the gray steel hanging over the edge. So I put a screw about every 30 inches, I'd guess. Tying that down so the wind won't whip it off or anything. I left the corner screw out here in case I have to wrap something around when I put it on down here. Not sure when I put my fascia on what I'm going to do. But I'm going to start tearing the scaffold down. I'm going to clean up the barn so we can have that. I might start doing some clean up, and then I've got to do some wiring. I got some holes drilled. I got to run the wires around the perimeter. We drilled those holes the other day. My grandson helped me. And I might replace the panel. All right. I'll let you know I'll show if I do replacing the panel. All right, there's my scaffold system. We're going to do a quick time lapse tearing this thing down. We've got 4 of us, and I think the 4 of us, sorry, I've been off camera a bit. I took all the nails out of all those boards over there. That's what you were hearing. But I think we can take these towers. Of course, I'll take the ladder down, and I think I'll put some bungees around those. Those planks up there have a cleat screwed on each end. So I think I'll put a rope or a bungee around them. So as we're moving them, they don't bounce off and hit somebody in the head. There's my cat. Look at him. Kitty! Kitty! He's a 21-pounder. And he loves to hunt. We've got another tuxie cat in there. She don't like to go out much, but she waits for her big brother to bring home treats that she can eat. So she cleans up his remains that he leaves behind. All right, guys. Daddy! Daddy! Isn't he beautiful? Look at him hunt. I mean, it's just that hunter's instinct, listening for every little sound. Well, yesterday, my son-in-law and his son, my grandson, and my other older grandson came over and helped me move and set up the scaffolding for this side. And this will go very fast because these are all straight cuts. There's none of those big steep angles to measure and fiddle with. So here I got to put the soffit up first so I can come up and terminate to that. And I have to get this end of the soffit piece up to get it to terminate here, so I can terminate the soffit pieces. So, and I have to do that so I can figure out how to do the corner piece, because I got to put that corner piece on before I can run the siding. So I think I got to fiddle with that first. Unfortunately, that almost looks like ladder work from the back, because I got to put that little wedge up there. There's a little wedge that has to go on that so everything comes out flush. I got to look at how I did this side and just copy those measurements, and I can put it up before I put the other stuff up. Yeah. I just need to give it the thickness of that and come down around that corner so I can put that up. Well, friends and fans, here at Bob's Barn Workshop, we are almost done with the vinyl siding. We're on the back side, we're way up high. We're cutting the very long tapered slits. And let me tell you, or show you, how I take those measurements to find what that taper needs to be. Say this is the piece of siding that's already on there below what you want, and this is where the taper ends, because this goes on beyond, you know, if they're at the roof line. So what I do is I take another piece of square siding like this, slide it into the groove, and slide it until it just comes almost in contact with the inside of the J-mold, where you would want the top of your cup to be. Then I measure from here to the tip. Then when I come down here, mine happens to be 67 inches. So what I do is I come down here, and I measure my 67 inches. 67. Okay. I'm going to close this door because it's really swamping my own vision, let alone the camera. There we go. And so then I take a long straight edge, which just happens to be a piece of this final brick mold, which we've been using all along, so I guess it's straight enough because all the cuts looked good. And I lay it on this mark, giving me allowance for the pencil width, which, as I said, at this much of a taper, it ain't going to make much difference. So I clamp that on this mark, and I make sure my mark is aligned down there. I want to leave a little edge, so I just, where it comes off the corner, and I make my marks. Now, because this is going up into that J-mold, there's quite a bit of latitude. You know what I'm saying? Margin for error. So you can slide this back an inch or two, back and forth, and it won't make much difference in how tight that is. So, what I do, I found it was the easiest way rather than trying to cut through that double thick stuff. I come around, and where the nailing bead is, I'll just come in here, and you can hog this out. This doesn't have to be pretty. This is all going to be buried. And I cut right up to where the bead ends. I know it looks like a sharpshooter, but it's going to be all buried up in the groove. All right, now the hard part is cut. Now these long cuts, we just have a very sharp knife. And it usually takes 2 swipes, and I don't try to cut it all at once, because the first cut, I want to be basically the scribing mark. So I'll scribe it down there with medium pressure. go to the first plank edge here. Now I should be able to finish cutting that with one swipe. There's a little bit nailed together up here. There we go, that's free. Slide this out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And I start right in the bottom of that groove and then follow the line again. Firm pressure, so I'm not trying to cut all the way through. Try to keep, it's really difficult to keep straight because there's wood graining in this final. Okay, sweating like a pig today. Here it is, the 2nd of October, and we're having our summer heat, I guess. Okay, well, that's a little crooked, you might say, but it doesn't matter. It all gets buried up in the J-mold. And plus this is high up on the edge of the house, up on the edge of the barn. It will, shoot, I'm sweating like a pig, so I'm wiping my face. It will just be beautiful. This brings me down to my last 5-foot piece I got to cut for this. So it's just going to be a wedge. Now what I do when I get up there is this, of course, the bottom of this latches onto the last piece of siding, onto the bead of the last piece of the siding. So I'll put a good sized bead every foot or so of silicone caulk all the way along this slit. And when I snap it up, I'll put, and hold it up tight, I'll put a white fascia nail right in this little corner right here where it's flat against the siding board to hold this up. And when that silicone dries, of course, it's never going anywhere. So I'll take you around back and let you see me put this next to the last piece up. And then I've got a little tiny wedge that goes up in the corner. There's nothing I can do to avoid that. So here we are on the barn. Of course, here's the scaffolding like we put in the front. There's the last wedge piece I got to do. It's funny, we cleaned out the brush here on this bank and discovered this beautiful little, I believe it's a mulberry tree, white mulberry. Well, it makes the most pleasant little shade tree. I'm almost tempted. My wife's been sitting there watching me. And it provides shade from sunrise to sunset right here. It's so nice. I'm tempted to put a little table out here and just bring my morning coffee in the summer and sit out here and enjoy the coolness of the first hours of the day. Anyway, so I'm going to be in your way. I know I am. I'm going to be up on the scaffold, of course. But I'll zoom you in a little bit and I'll talk to you while I'm up there. Hopefully my last piece is cut right. I'm going to test dry fit it first because this is a combination cut. I had to cut the taper on the long end and I had to cut the ridge line on the other, so I'm hoping my measurements were correct. Oh yeah, she's perfect. Perfect. So the next thing is the caulking. I'm going to put some right near the tip. And every foot or so I'll put about a 4-inch bead. Along here. Alright. this guy here. Again, I'm not nailing it tight, just till the head of the nail comes down against the nail bead. I'm going to put an extra nail in up here, as close as I can. Alright, so the only thing left to do is to put my white soffit nail in here. I'm going to put it as close to the J-mold as I can. That will keep that up tight until the caulking hardens. And that won't take too long, a couple hours, humid day. RTV cures quickly in humidity. Alright, so that's all there is to that. I got one little sliver left here. So this is an odd shape. But that's alright, Mama. I don't think I'm going to need another piece. I might have to put just a sliver in there. So I'm going to start out with measuring the length of this. And it looks about like 73 inches. So I'm going to go cut 73 inches, cut the taper, and then we'll have to doctor this end here a little bit. 73 inches length. And for this guy, '67. 73 and 67. All right. Alrighty, well that's the last little wedgie that's got to go in there. And I didn't cut it quite all the way yet. I'm just going to cut it with my snips when I get up there. I'll be really glad to get done with this siding. Move on to electrical and sheathing and so on. So this is going to fit like so. Up in there. 10.5 inches. That's just a little nip off the corner here. I knew it would be. I do have to make a little wedgie to fit in here. Of course, this requires a lot of glue. How does that look, guys? Look like it? I think that's it. She's up tight in the groove. I got a little slack here. Alright. I'm going to glue the piss out of this one. Probably can't see me, but I'm going to need just a dab of glue for that next little wedge I got to put in there. Several fascia nails in here. I think that one's good. My hands are sweaty and dirty. I just can't get a nail in there, I don't think. No, I can't. So that's going to have to hold it. I know you're not supposed to face nail, but I got to make a hole through the metal that's in here. For those little aluminum nails, just don't go through it. Alright, it's the only thing I can do. There's nothing to nail, no nail flange. And yeah, that's not real pretty. I'm thinking in the rain. Alright. That's all I got left. And then I'm freaking done. Done, 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 done. Whoops. Guess I'm done with the caulking. I have no way of holding this other than pushing it up and hoping it stays until the glue sets. Alright. Now I can tear the scaffold down. Alright. I installed that, and right where that gray rake edge coming down there is, and then the edge of the roof line here comes, there's a groove. That's well caulked. Now Of course, I built my little return in there so the birds and the bees didn't think they needed to nest up in that little pocket. And it made dead-ending the fascia and stuff a lot easier. And she is done. I decided I'm not going to put a vent in the back because last winter we had a lot of snow blowing. And you see that vent up there? Apparently it just blasted into the attic of the barn and I had a big wet floor up there. Luckily the floor is fairly tight and it didn't seep down into the insulation. But so here we are. Again, I'm back in my little haven here. I'm gonna go get a cold drink. We're gonna get a little cold drink and sit right up here, baby. My wonderful wife of 48 years. She's a doll. Anyway, this is all done. All done. All done. She's watertight. My door opener is acting up. I tried to call the door guy, but he didn't answer me yet. He's probably staying out of sight. I don't know. The next thing to do is that I have to get the wiring done so that I can insulate and put the ceiling up. And then when the ceiling goes up, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I have to run my wires in here, as we talked about earlier, from this panel. Not a lot. And over in that corner is where the lift's going. As I said, I got to have 220 over there. I got to have 220 to the air compressor. 3 circuits from these light switches over here for the ceiling lights. That's it in the attic. So once I get that done, I can get my crew over here and we can put that steel that lays out through the window there. That's the ceiling steel. I've got 16 footers that will cover this nicely. We won't need any strapping, so that's why I'm doing steel, and it's fireproof and it's bright white, will reflect light down. And then as we put the steel up, I'm going to slide in 10-inch fiberglass batting. And I also have, I guess I showed you before, these big rolls over here are 1/4-inch foam covered with Mylar, which will be my vapor barrier and IR insulation that will reflect infrared heat up and infrared back into the building. And there we go. So there's what I have left of my siding. It looks like I got 6 pieces of siding left, and I have 2 pieces of fascia soffit. I don't know if I can get a refund on them. Probably not, maybe. I bought them piece by piece. And whatever other moldings I have, I can take back, I guess. But I didn't waste a lot of siding. I mean, you're going to have bits like this and stuff that you just can't use, but I mean, that's from the whole project. That's not a lot of waste. I try to be pretty conservative. All right, guys. That's it for now. Okay, how about some fast mo, tearing down the scaffold as fast as I can.